probably sensing a theme here as we talk, and that is communicate to your employees. Handbook policies really help you be consistent as long as you're following them. And so thank you, Lindsay, for going through the employee handbook, because that's an important piece to having employees. So personnel files, this is the definition. Okay, so what does it say? It says how you decide if someone's qualified, deserves a promotion, deserves additional compensation or termination. That's what should be in your personnel file, and it should be under lock and key. The only people that should have access to the personnel file is the person who's in charge of HR. The only people who should get to see the personnel file are employees when they request it, and there's rules around how quickly you need to provide that file for them to look at, and the ways you provide it. And then also their supervisor or managers, whoever's in charge of deciding if they deserve a raise, or if they want to look at a disciplinary action and want to look back at the file to see how many times they've been written up. Supervisors and managers get to see the file. And this is going to become important because think about your W-4. Okay, how many people have their W-4s and I-9s in their personnel file right now, and maybe also have their deductions if they want stuff for FSA, HSA, right? And that's sort of the norm. You think, okay, everything that deals with the employee, we're going to put in their file. Actually, the Bureau of Labor and Industry says no. The only thing that should be in the personnel file are things that deal with those topics that we discussed about the definition of a personnel file. The W-4, what can it tell a supervisor? You might have a supervisor or manager who finds it very offensive that anybody has children and is unmarried. Well, if you let them see the W-4, guess what? They're going to find this person single, filing 5 dependents, right? The I-9 can tell people national origin, birth dates. There's all kinds of information on the I-9 that could give a supervisor or manager information. And even if your supervisor or manager is not the type of person who would discriminate, it gives the opportunity for discrimination. And simply having that opportunity can get you in trouble if the lawyers and government get involved when they start doing an investigation. Okay, so what does a gorgeous personnel file look like? It looks like this. So here's your list. Job descriptions are vital for those of you that don't have job descriptions for your employees. Even if you only have 1 or 2, I strongly suggest that you put that on your action item list. The Bureau of Labor and Industry has a really great website where you can go and actually look up what the average pay is by job description, but it also tells you by job description what the education requirements normally are, and gives you a great list of all the skills that these people should need. And so you can go out to the Bureau of Labor and Industry, harvest this data, and then adapt it for the different job descriptions in your workplace. A lot of people probably wonder about applications. They actually suggest that applications are even filled out by people like engineers. So normally people you'd get a resume from and say, well, that's good. They actually suggest that you have applications for everybody. It allows you to have the applicant sign off saying that they acknowledge you're at will. It allows you to request additional references that people might not normally provide on their resume. And it also allows you to have them sign a waiver saying you're authorized to contact these references. And so the application is an important thing to add to your forms. And right now we're talking about what I love, organizational stuff, forms, files. This is exciting information. Okay, so W-4 again. We want to make sure that these things are in a payroll file. So every employee should have a payroll file. What should it contain? W-4, all the signed authorizations where they're signing off saying you can make deductions. They also suggest in the payroll file that you have information about what you actually paid them, the payroll summaries. Now, I'm a QuickBooks Pro advisor. Most of my clients work in QuickBooks, and I don't like to waste paper. So what I do is when an employee is terminated, or they leave the company, and we're pulling that file out and putting it in the archives, I print a report out of QuickBooks that shows their wage by year for all the years they worked for the company. Why do I do that? Because if they come back in 3 years with an age discrimination complaint, their payroll file contains all the information needed to see what they were paid at a given time. And if you have consistent policies and procedures like this, you're less likely to open up more doors than you want to open. One thing we want to do is provide people who are going to be coming in and doing audits or reviewing your information exactly what they need in one place so they don't start asking, like for your QuickBooks file, which could open up a whole can of worms.